Good afternoon. The time is 4 p.m. and I would like to call to order the December 18th meeting of the Norwalk Traffic Authority. We have a quorum with Commissioner Fran Collier-Clemens, Commissioner Tony Lopez. First item on the agenda is public comment. If you're here to speak on an item that's on the agenda, please let us know. Is there anybody on the Zoom that wishes to address the commission or the authority?
Ms. Russo, you are unmuted if you'd like to speak. It does not appear so, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Next item on the agenda, discussion, vote, approve the minutes of the meeting of November 20th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So move, Mayor.
Moved by Commissioner Lopez. Any corrections, deletions, or omissions?
I have none.
I have none, Mayor, either.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, is discussion and vote to approve the Norwalk Traffic Authority meeting dates for calendar year 2024, which is a part of your packet. I need a motion.
I move approval of the meeting dates for 2024.
Okay, any further discussion or comment? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next item, discussion and vote on the presentation on legal golf carts on the Norwalk streets. I need a motion to move that forward for discussion.
I move item 3 for discussion, presentation of the golf carts on Norwalk
Okay.
streets.
Okay, and who's Kevin Smith is here? Okay.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, here we are and we're ready for the presentation. I think we all have it in our packet.
Very good. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners of the Traffic Authority. I'm here to represent Connecticut Custom Carts, a golf cart dealership based in Norwalk, and the sponsor of the proposed regulation permitting the use of golf carts in specific shoreline neighborhoods in Norwalk. We provided materials in support of this proposal for your packet, which includes a full presentation describing the proposal, a draft of the proposed golf cart regulation, a draft of maps showing the neighborhoods where golf cart use would be regulated, and a draft of the golf cart registration form along with the golf cart vehicle inspection form. I've also prepared a short summary presentation of our work that addresses some of the questions that we expect will come up in our discussions today. With your permission, I would like to present that summary for you now.
Okay, you have the floor.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to share my screen with your permission.
Okay.
Okay. Please tell me if you're able to see my screen now.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. My apologies, I've got a little bit of an issue here. I'll take it back. So this is a regulation to allow the use of golf carts in shoreline communities in Norwalk. And for the next few minutes, I'll be walking you through that proposal. And I'll begin with an introduction. Unfortunately, Fiola Stumbo cannot join us today. He wants to be here, but the extreme weather overnight and today resulted in emergencies that prevent him from being here. So he's asked me to present and to answer any questions on his behalf. Fiora is the founder and owner of Connecticut Custom Carts, and also of a company called Stratotech Group, which is a 30-year-old local business with offices on Wall Street in downtown Norwalk. Stratotech specializes in IT and network management infrastructure. Their clients include people like Blue Buffalo in Wilton, the Connecticut Dermatology Group in Norwalk, RTI Research in Norwalk, and Stamford-based Rowan Apparel. So clearly a very seasoned organization with a very strong business based here in Norwalk. Fior is a lifelong resident of the city and lives in the Cranberry neighborhood. My name is Kevin Smith, and I am working with the company to help them grow their business in the state. So street legal golf carts are popular all over the country and provide tangible benefits for the people and communities where they're legal. 45 states have passed laws enacting the use of golf carts in towns throughout the country. And in Connecticut, there have been 8 towns and cities that have already passed regulations. The state statute permitted the use of golf carts on public roads back in 2009. The social benefits of golf carts include helping build more engaged and accessible communities, enhancing Norwalk's unique beach character, and being more eco-friendly and traffic calming than other personal transportation options. Plus, golf carts are just a lot of fun to drive as well. There's not a lot of research that's been done on the benefits of golf carts. Most of the information in this area is anecdotal, but there is a study that was done in Peachtree City, Georgia, a community that has 11,000 households and 9,000 golf carts. So a lot of golf carts per household in that city. It's a developer planned community, but it's not a gated community or retirement community. It has an extensive system of golf cart paths that are also used by the town's pedestrians and cyclists. That's one of the things that makes it unique. The study by researchers at Lancaster University in Lancashire, UK, asked the residents for feedback on a list of social benefits, ranking them on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest with no benefit. Over 80% of the residents scored recreation and exercise and alternative transportation as being highly beneficial. More than 70% felt that transportation for elderly and disabled people in the community, along with a reduction in air pollution, were highly beneficial. And even though meeting and interacting with their neighbors fell into the high 50s, more than 80% of people believed that it was of some benefit by ranking it either a 3, 4, or 5. The researchers also asked residents to tell them about how they used their golf carts and the local path system. They responded that 20% of household trips were made using golf carts instead of cars. Over 70% of them used them for shopping and trips to recreational facilities. So to develop our proposal, we started by looking at the state statutes that govern golf carts. The first statute establishes that the local authority over traffic regulations that are related to Chapter 249, the Traffic Control and Highway Safety chapter, and Section 14.3.12 grants the traffic authority of the municipality the power to make regulations regarding things that are in Chapter 249. The second statute that we thought was of interest was obviously the one that permits the use of golf carts on public roads. So the traffic authority is authorized to permit those operations. There are a number of restrictions. They include when and where they can operate, minimum safety equipment that needs to be on the golf cart, and valid driver's license for the operator. It also covers infractions and how they're enforced, and the issue of insurance. Next, we did a deep dive on the existing proposals in Connecticut. Our goal was we wanted to identify the best of the best so we could draft a regulation that would be the most comprehensive in the state. So we studied towns, meeting minutes, and local press coverage that would help us understand how some towns succeeded and why other towns failed. And we feel we've leveraged those learnings for the proposal and the draft regulation that we've developed for your review. Then we spoke to the people who were tasked with implementing and enforcing the regulations in those towns, the local police departments. And here are a few of the representative comments from the police and the people who administer the programs for the police departments. There were several big takeaways from the interviews, and they were: the regulations have been well received by the communities where they were enacted. The rest of the town where it has been enacted has not been impacted by the regulations. The regulations have not been a burden on the police department, and there have been no accidents reported since the regulations were enacted. Now, we wondered if those comments by the towns that there were no accidents involving carts could be supported by any data, or if it was more anecdotal. So we took a look at two sources of information that have been tracking golf cart related accidents since 2015. The first one is the Connecticut Transportation Safety Research Center. They compiled data on all the crashes in Connecticut. And according to their golf cart information, Connecticut has averaged just over 8 golf cart accidents per year since 2015. But a closer look at the data shows that the overwhelming majority of those crashes have occurred in towns that didn't have regulations in place. And that includes 2 from Norwalk back in 2015. Towns that have regulations represented less than 20% of the golf cart accidents, or just under 1.5 crashes per year. We also looked at data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And they compiled a fatality analysis in their FARS database. While there have been a small number of fatalities in other states where there are regulations, Connecticut has had none since golf carts were broken out in the data back in 2015. So this confirmed what we heard from the cities who had passed regulations. So in addition to their tangible social benefits, golf carts are also very safe. So, we're eager to take some time this afternoon to speak with you about this, dive into this, take your questions. And we think that the next steps along this should be that the traffic authority reviews the draft regulation language. You've had it, so maybe you've had a chance to review it in detail. Look at our proposals for public safety, town liability, and operator insurance to make sure they're sufficient for what the town needs. Review the forms and the maps we've provided. Develop the process for how the regulation would be implemented within the city. And lastly, we're here to help. So if you need us to do more research, to modify any of the proposed language, or make presentations to other city departments that will be impacted, then we can move quickly to do that. And with that, I want to thank you for your time and see if you have any questions.
I have a couple quick ones. One of the 8 towns, what's the largest in population? It looked like it might be Stratford.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. Stratford was the largest town. And Stratford, interestingly, put that regulation in place for every town, every street in the city that met the regulation. So not just streets along the shoreline.
So if I remember correctly, that the carts would not be allowed on any street that has a posted speed limit over 25. Is that correct?
Actually, the regulation, Mr. Mayor, says that they cannot be used on any street with a posted speed limit of 25 or more.
Right.
So anything that is,
It has to be less than 25. And
25 or less, yes.
Yeah. Well, you said 25 or more, it can't be used. So it obviously.
I'm sorry. You were right about that. Let me go back to the actual regulation, Mr. Mayor. My apologies.
That's right.
It says, yes, no use on public streets where a posted speed limit is more than 25 miles per hour.
Okay. All right. Now, you say that, what about insurance companies? Are they inclined to issue insurance policies for golf carts? Is it an automobile? Is it an automobile insurance policy, or is it another kind?
It tends to be a separate golf cart policy for use on roads. In fact, the company owner and founder, Fior Lustumbo, has an insurance policy on his golf cart.
And what's in your research? What is the largest community population-wise that has approved these? Not just Connecticut, but wherever you found the authorization. What do you have the largest city or town that you found?
That's a great question, Mr. Mayor. I haven't actually gone and looked at it in terms of the population and seeing what that scale looks like. I do know that the population of the one where the study occurred, which was Peachtree City, was around 40,000. But I don't believe that's necessarily the largest. But I can, however, do some research on that and get back to you.
And the last question I have, and I didn't really see it in the regulations that might be there. They are subject to parking tickets as well.
Absolutely. One of the things that the statute permits for the traffic authority to do is to set violations that are based on their existing statute, which is Title 14, Chapter 249, 14/300G, which is the golf cart regulation, or any other conditions or limitations established by the traffic authority for the operation of golf carts. So anything that the city wants to do in terms of incorporating the same rules and regulations and laws that exist for other motor vehicles can be done through the use of the regulation, and that's what we're proposing.
And last but not least of my questions anyway, what type of registration is issued? Do they issue a registration plate similar to that might be on a motorcycle, or?
Oftentimes what's done is it's done via a sticker that's provided to the owner of the golf cart. However, we have seen cases where people have been provided with plates as well. So it's really up to the town in terms of how. It's one of those open questions for the town in terms of how the town wants to do it. It isn't established specifically in the statute as to what it needs to be.
All right, so it wouldn't be up to the town, I would imagine. It would be up to the state somehow to register the vehicle. I don't know if the city of Norwalk would be prepared to issue registrations to the vehicles. I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, in looking at the other regulations throughout the state, every municipality has its own registration form. And so they are responsible for registering the vehicles and then providing both a sticker and in some cases a flag that identifies. One of the safety regulations in the statute requires a flag that would be of a certain height that would be able to be seen by drivers of other motor vehicles.
Commissioner Collier-Clemens, I believe you had questions.
Yes, I don't know whether you presented it, Kevin. I thought I read that these carts are not supposed to be used at night. Is that
correct? That is by state statute. They are not permitted to be used at night. Daylight hours only is the terms they use.
Okay, and I'm just wondering on the 10 top reasons. One was given was exercise. How does driving a golf cart give one exercise?
Well, I think it was more about getting to recreational facilities, and that's what the benefit is for people who are looking to get exercise as a result of the cart. So they're able to get to gyms or the beach or go play volleyball or that kind of thing. So it's really about being able to use them for recreational activities. One of the things that we found in that study from Peachtree City, Georgia, is that over 70% of the people who responded to the survey indicated that using them to go to recreational facilities was a major benefit for them.
Okay, now according to your proposal, these carts in Norwalk are only going to be used in beach communities and on certain streets. And those streets, I don't think would include them getting to gyms. So
Possibly not.
I'm not really sure about the benefit of that particular, exercise. I think there was something else that I wrote down here. But so the city would be responsible for drawing up the regulations for registration, doing the registration, issuing the registration plates, and having them renewed.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Commissioner. The regulations and the proposed forms are in draft form in the packet that we set. So some of the part of the research that we did was to provide you with the best possible regulation language, compiling the information from the best of the best in the state.
Right, thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes, Mrs. Smith, with regards to your comment about at night, that it would not be allowed to be used, the carts. What defines night? Is there a specific hour? I mean, that's something that the city would consider. I'm just trying to, as we know, we have daylight savings time, so I don't know what that means.
Right, that's a great question, Commissioner Lopez. The way that many of the municipalities handle that is to simply state 30 minutes prior to sundown as being the time when they are no longer able to be used. So they set those parameters based on 30 minutes after sunup and 30 minutes before sundown.
Okay. And with regards to the city taking over such a registration, presumably there would be, I would think, some additional costs to administer such registration. I mean, that the other cities have taken on. Is that correct?
That is correct. There would be some additional cost, although in speaking
resources,
with
specifically resources, correct?
Correct. And in speaking with the administrators of the programs, both police chiefs, people who are assisting the police chief in their work, or lieutenants or deputy chiefs in the various cities that have the regulation, I asked that question specifically. We wanted to know, what kind of a burden did this put on the police department? And the answer universally was that it was not an additional burden for them. I'm happy to share more information about their surveys that I did with those folks, if anyone would like to have those. We included the bullet points in the presentation, but I could certainly provide additional information about that. And
that could be useful as I'm sorry. I was just going to say that could be useful as well as the what the mayor indicated. What was the largest community that was approved? That you said you don't have that information, with the exception of the Georgia study, but that would be also useful information.
Okay, great. One of the things too that each of the municipalities does, Commissioner Lopez, is they all of them have some form of fee associated with the registration, so that there is some capture of cost in there, and the town is in a position to make that registration fee whatever it wishes it to be. There's nothing in the state statute that determines what that amount is. We see everything in other statutes from $25 to $100, and the renewal fees, on top of that. And in addition to that, the open question that we have, based on what we've seen, is about property tax for those vehicles as well. We think that is an open question that the town should look at. Some people have it listed as part of the personal property tax form. Some do not. And we think that there would be a possibility to add some additional revenues to the program based on that.
So aside from the the required licensing, automobile licensing, outside of that, do you see any kind of training at all, to operate? I mean, can't be that hard, but I'm saying there are some at least pitfalls to avoid accidents and so forth. I just wasn't sure if there's anything like that that you know of.
Not that I know of, although certainly I'm sure that there's some entrepreneurial people who would be interested in providing training for golf cart use, whether it be the folks who currently do driver training in Norwalk, or even dealers or inspection if the police department decides they want to have a third party do the inspection process. Inspectors could potentially provide training if that was something that the commission felt that was necessary as part of the regulation.
Is there a point in time the other towns also shut it down after a certain season, or that you can share?
There have been some towns that have limited it based on seasonality. I can go back and take a look at the specific regulations within Connecticut and see, but I don't believe there was anyone who actually passed a regulation that limited it to summer, spring through fall months. But I know that there were some failed regulations that were proposed that did have that including in it. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Collier Clemens, I think you had another question.
Yes. Do any of these cities have minimum and maximum age limits for operating those golf carts? Or is that up to the municipality?
Commissioner Collier Clemens, I'm not aware of any municipalities that have regulated based on age. Now, what I would say is that the one difference there is on the low side, right? According to the state statute, the operator of the cart must carry a valid motor vehicle operator's license, and that's included in our regulation. So, from a youth standpoint, they have to be able to have an operator's license in order to be an operator of the cart.
And when you get more information from these other cities in Connecticut that have regulations, could you include the size of those cities and the known costs that they have incurred in implementing the regulation to allow these carts?
I can certainly expand my surveys of those towns to include those questions and reach out to those people and see if they have that information. And if they have that information, especially in the amount of the cost incurred, if they can share that with us, then I'll be happy to share that with the commission.
Okay, and especially their population.
Absolutely. That will be easy.
One more thing from my viewpoint, or that I have as a question. On the maps that you've drawn where you've marked them in yellow and red,
Yes, sir.
is red where they're not permitted?
Mr. Mayor, the use of red there was to identify roads that are currently unposted. When we initially looked at the roads that would be allowed, where golf carts would be allowed in Norwalk, based on an existing Norwalk ordinance, we believed that unposted roads would be treated as 25-mile-an-hour zones. However, we learned in the last meeting that wasn't the case. That in fact, there's a state requirement that unposted roads be at 30 miles per hour. So
Correct.
in this
That's
case,
my next question.
yeah, so when we redid the maps, Mr. Mayor, the amount of red on the maps was significant. So we scaled back the number of roads and areas that we were proposing for the city of Norwalk, because there would have been a large number of roads that the traffic authority would have had to ask the state to be 25-mile-an-hour zones. And we felt that was not appropriate. So we would drop back to a smaller footprint on the regulation and then allow that footprint to grow over time based on the feedback from the communities.
Chief, your thoughts or comments, or you and your deputy chiefs?
Mayor Rilling, Police Commission, thank you, and good afternoon. I've had this package for a little bit, and I've done a little bit of research and just in regards to the communities that do approve this in Connecticut, I'll go down the line. East Lyme has a population of 18,000. Old Lyme, 7,000. Old Saybrook, 10,000. Clinton, 2,700 people. Branford, 28,000. East Haven, 28,000. Stratford is 51,000. And City of Norwalk is 91,000. And my concerns for this proposal are a few, and I'll detail them out, is the population density and the traffic density that is in Norwalk right now with gentrification and development that is going on. And we are becoming a gem in southwestern Connecticut for our attractions. And especially in the past 3 to 4 years, we have seen a large increase in beach traffic on the weekends. And you could probably bump up the population well over 100,000 in the city of Norwalk based on its attractions with the fairs and the festivals and the runs in the Maritime Center and Washington Street. So our population density, our traffic density is really conducive, in my opinion, to be introducing golf carts to the Norwalk city roads. My second concern is the commingling of roads that have the 25 miles per hour speed limit versus the red ones marked on the map. It's almost an unenforceable situation the way it is right now, because you won't be able to take left or right hand turns. You have to go from point A to point B in many situations and turn around. So the commingling of roads where it is posted 25 and it's not marked and motorists are allowed to drive to 30, that could be an issue. And probably the biggest issue is that this company started down in East Norwalk last year, and we had problems with them all summer long. After many discussions, after many stops, after many warnings and many tickets, people weren't doing what they were supposed to be told. And if that's a sign, I think it is due to the fact that some of the people that were on the ground floor of this proposal were pushing golf carts out into Norwalk city roads without doing it the proper way. And we did have issues. Companies were delivering food on golf carts in violation of the law. Officers were making stops. We had discussions with them, and it still continued to the point when I was at the fireworks and I was stopping golf carts. So that right there is a pre-indicator that they weren't playing by the rules last year. And I think Deputy Chief Blake has the same concerns in regards to enforcement. And last 2 years, he spearheaded a lot of our traffic enforcement. Now it's on Deputy Chief Dinho with community policing. And Beach Road is probably our top 3 highlight for selective enforcement for speeding. We get complaints of speeding. It has been since I was a rookie. The people speed up and down that road. We have traffic lights situation. I don't think the road is set for that situation introducing golf carts. And at the end of the day, we are not East Lyme. We are not Old Saybrook. We are the city of Norwalk, and we do have a lot of traffic, and we have a lot of events going on. And I predict that this could be an issue.
Deputy Chief Blake or Deputy Chief Dinho or Deputy Chief Lepore, do you have any added comments?
I have nothing to add, Mayor. I mean, I just echo the chief's thoughts. We've the chief and the 3 of us have discussed this at length over the last summer, as the chief mentioned, or this summer, where we have a tremendous amount of issues down in the beach area, as well as we're waiting with golf carts. So
the only added concern, good afternoon, everybody, is also with the time of the year, if there are any restrictions on, let's say, winter usage due to the condition of the roadway with snow and ice, and maybe younger individuals wanting to take these out and add to a problem that we have of sort of ATVs and snowmobiles already on the city streets, and a concern that, this would be very enticing to our younger population to take them out in the snow as well, creating more of a hazard.
Any Deputy Chief Lepore, do you have anything to add?
No, I just mirror everything that the chief said and the two other deputy chiefs said. Again, East Norwalk Beach Road, it's a very busy road, as everybody knows, in the summertime. And that's also with pedestrians and bicyclists. And the road gets very narrow there, and it could have some safety concerns on it also. And again, in row 8, and I know the roads are very narrow there also. They don't have as much traffic with as many events as we have going on. But yeah, it's a safety concern. Thank you.
How about TMP? Do you have any comments, Mr. Travers or others?
Hi, Mayor. I think when our review of it was, as you know, we're undertaking the effort for complete streets legislation and a design manual about how we use our roads. I think one of that is, out of, what we hear from the community about walkability, right? And I think in these in many of the areas that are outlined for golf cart uses without a sidewalk today, so we're adding another layer of mobility in there that a pedestrian has to be on the lookout for. And I think we're really trying to define the roads as taking care of the most vulnerable road user, the pedestrian first, and I think following suit to that, we hope to undertake Vision Zero legislation to reduce crashes. I think I'd just be concerned with the number of modes of transportation that we're adding into particularly the tighter roads that have been yet defined, giving pedestrians or cyclists their safe passage. So our concern would be just this mode of transportation, in the mix of the other things, and I think also our efforts are very much committed to complete streets and then following suit to that to Vision Zero. So I think from a resource perspective, I don't know that we could jump golf carts to the top of the list to work up legislation with in advance of those other two. Thank you.
Mr. Bolella?
Yeah, just real quickly, I think, two concerns that we share. Connectivity, just looking at the revised maps, you could have a golf cart on one road, but to get to a beach or generate a large generator or destination, you might have to cross some of the roads which are currently not 25 miles per hour. So that brings up some concerns. And I think it was also just mentioned on the call too, while some of these roads might be posted for 25 miles per hour, the existing 85th percentile speeds might be higher than that, closer to 30 miles per hour or even more in some areas. And we also, I think we talked a lot about density of traffic, and a number of these roads also that golf carts could potentially be permitted on also have high concentrations of heavy vehicles too. So those are just some other concerns that we flagged when looking at the proposals.
I'm not sure I can pronounce the name right, but Mr. Fancano, how do you pronounce your name?
Yep, you pronounced it right. Good job.
Okay.
Nope, just mirroring what Jim and Garrett said, pretty much. Thank you.
All right. I have one more question. What is the top speed of the golf carts?
25 miles per hour.
They won't go any faster than that? Is there a governor on there or something? Or
I think there is a way to get them up to 28 miles per hour, but my understanding is that their max speed from the manufacturer is a 25 mile per hour top end, which is one of the things that could potentially help with the speeding situation on some of the roads, is that golf carts will be traffic calming in that they will limit speeding on the roads. So that's one of the benefits.
Yeah. Any other comment or discussion?
May I reply to some of the concerns that were voiced by members of the commission and participants in the call?
Sure.
Great. Well, first off, Chief Walsh, thank you very much for the concerns that you mentioned, and we think that they are very valid concerns. One of the things that I'm not certain about is how many of those golf carts that you were stopping over the course of the last year for violations of being on the road without a regulation were ones that had already been owned by current residents to begin with. There are a number of golf carts that are owned by residents of East Norwalk, of Rowayton, of Wilson Point, some of the other neighborhoods that we were targeting for this regulation. In fact, many people in those neighborhoods are interested in seeing regulations be enacted to make them legal to use. So there may have been some of that activity that was purchases that predated the existence of Connecticut custom cards. But not knowing who you stopped, it would be hard to know if that was the case or not. But we believe that there probably is some existing traffic there.
Are you affiliated with custom carts out of Calf Pasture Beach at Cove Marina? Is this where this proposal?
Yeah, I'm a consultant working for the owners of that company.
All right, so that's the problem I was referring to. The problem that was introduced last year was the East Norwalk, Lower East Norwalk issue, Beach Road, Calf Pasture Beach, and it was there. You are right. There's always been a sprinkling of golf carts in certain areas of Bell Island and Rowayton and very secluded areas of Rowayton where it's always occurred. But I have to say last year, it became a problem because they were being introduced to the East Norwalk area out of the Cove Marina area. From the intelligence I received from the officers and my own observations into Deputy Chief Blake's observations when we were at the fireworks, that they were coming from Cove Marina.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So there, in addition to that, I'll actually, Chief Walsh, I will go back and speak with Fiora Musumbu about that to find out, how that can be managed going forward. In a way that's better for the city. The one thing that I would say as well is that while we looked at the populations of the towns along the shoreline that have put golf carts regulations in place, those are I'm assuming those populations, Chief Walsh, are the ones pre-summer influx, because they experience the same kinds of influx of people into their towns, and in fact a larger probably influx of temporary residents who have homes there, who come to live there, and so those towns may increase. What I'll do in my research to get back to the commission is look at what the flex of that population is as well, and see if that's different from the numbers that you had given us. The question of commingling roads, one of the things that maybe I didn't make it clear, and my apologies if I didn't, is that those roads that are marked in red are ones that we would ask the city to petition OSTA about to get them moved to 25 miles per hour. And that would be, so the carts would be allowed under the regulation on those roads in those parts of Norwalk where that are on the maps. There was a question about seasonality and ice and winter. There are certainly regulation language that's been incorporated into other regulations along the shoreline that have dealt with issues of seasonality and or just inclement weather in general. So that's certainly something that could be added into the regulation in order to make it safer for people who are in golf carts and traveling on roads with ice and snow and those kinds of things. And I think that's the extent of my comments back on the issues that were raised. And again, thanks to everyone for raising the issues that you have.
Well, thank you as well. I think there's information that you're supposed to be checking on and perhaps
Yes.
giving back. I think based on what I'm hearing, I believe there are some significant concerns for the commission or the authority, as well as the police department. So I'm not going to call a vote right now. I think we'll just kind of discuss this as we get more information and come to a determination in the relatively near future.
Very good, Mr. Mayor. I will try to get that information back to you prior to the next meeting of the traffic authority. And then the traffic authority can let us know when you would like to have us back to talk through the issues and see if we can provide you with information that would make it more amenable to some of the concerns that are existing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of no parking on Belmont Place. Is Mr. Benjamin here?
He is not, Mayor, but I'm happy to speak to this item.
Okay.
So this was brought before the commission on the last meeting.
Excuse me, did we
Belmont
move
Place
this
is-
item? I apologize, Mayor.
I'm sorry. Yes. Move the item for discussion.
Okay, so moved for the record.
Okay.
Fantastic. Sorry, I get excited. So this item was actually voted on at the last commission meeting. It was approved subject to reaching out to the neighborhood. Just as a reminder, Belmont Place is 22 to 24 feet wide, so it's very narrow. It provides direct access to the Rowayton train station and is busy during peak periods of the day. So there's no parking along the northerly curb today. What was before the council at the last, or the commission at the last meeting, was for no parking to be implemented along the southerly curb line. There's about 9 households on the street. We had 3 residents reach out to us prior to bringing this before your attention at the last meeting. However, in the packet, you'll see a memo that went out to all the residents as a follow-up and courtesy, explaining the process, the timeline for the project, and asking to reach out if there's any questions or concerns. And we did not receive any questions or concerns from any of the residents since this was sent out in late November.
Mr. Bullock, we need a correction on that letter, on the second paragraph, last sentence.
The second to last paragraph?
Yeah, you see it? It says this is brought before the Norwalk Traffic Authority on 11/20 and approved with the proviso that we notice the neighborhood of these changes. I understand what you're trying to, with the provision that we notify the neighborhood, but that's not what it says.
Yeah, my apologies. So the intent was to reach out to the neighborhood to inform them of it and to understand any concerns.
I just wanted to point it out.
I do apologize. So we'll
No
make sure
problem.
it's corrected in the future. But we didn't hear anything from the residents. And it would be our recommendation that we do move forward with the signs over the next few weeks to install and address the concerns.
So based on our last minutes, we didn't approve it. We just wanted is that what you're saying?
So I believe it was approved, subject to the condition that we reach out to the neighbors and report back our findings at this meeting.
All right, let's yeah, I believe that is the case as well. Commissioner Lopez or Commissioner Clemens, do you have any different recollection of that?
No, I don't have a different recollection. I believe he is absolutely correct.
Yeah, I think that was in the minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
It is in the minutes that you are
Yeah.
correct, Commissioner.
So if it was approved at the last meeting, we've been advised and we've seen a copy of the letter, so I don't think a vote is necessary. It's been approved. Is that correct?
Yep, that's
Yes.
correct. I just wanted to provide
Okay.
it for this.
Okay. And the next item on the agenda, approval of the no parking regulation on Loughbury Avenue.
I move
Mr.
that item for discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Fancano?
Hello, commissioners. Hopefully everyone's holiday season is going smoothly. So this item was brought to our attention via the customer service ticketing system. We had multiple customer service tickets for Loughbury Avenue. Specifically, the issue here is parked cars on the bend of the street, and I'll actually share my screen so you guys can see it if you're not familiar with the street. So if you can see my mouse here, imagine parked cars, or cars are parked right here on this bend. it's very difficult to see up the street. The parked cars cause a sightline issue up towards Route 1, which is the end of the street here, which is less than 1/10 of a mile away. So as you can imagine, cars might be coming in quickly here. And then once a vehicle turns off of Holly Street here onto Loughbury Avenue, we've had issues with crashes in the past here. So that's one of the things we're looking to correct by this. We're proposing a parking restriction, as you can see in the packet that we sent for the agenda. It's only for these 3 houses, this house, and then the next one. So these 3 houses were notified of our proposed parking restriction. We got 1 letter of support signed and returned to us. We got 1 resident saying that they would support it, and then 1 was against. But of course, that 1 against was the person causing the issue and parking on the street. In field inspections, after we've went out and verified the issue, we've had numerous people, residents of the neighborhood, come up to us complaining and saying, "Are you guys here to fix the parking?" So that's pretty much it. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Sure, there's any questions?
I'm trying to understand the comment you received from are you here to do what? I'm trying to understand that, if you will.
So
for me.
sorry if I wasn't clear. But we are proposing to create a no parking zone for the frontage of these 3 houses
No, I
here.
understand that. The comment you received from when you went out an inspection, the comment you received, that's the part I need a clarification.
Oh,
What was
they're
the
just
comment?
verifying. Sorry if I wasn't clear. The comments that we received out in the field were from residents confirming that the problem of the parked cars here causing sightline issues, and then the secondary issue was that it narrows the road when cars are parked in the street. The cross section of the road here is only 23 feet, and coupled with parked cars, it creates a very narrow travel lane. We also had an issue with school buses not being able to pass here, and that was backed up by the bus's transportation.
And the comments
department.
were expressed by how many? 1, 2, 5 people? I'm just trying to get a sense of that.
So there were 2 or 3 customer service tickets complaining about this issue, and then there was also, just in our field inspection of being out there for not even an hour, 3 people came up to us and told us that this was also an issue. So just 5 letters or 5 people supporting a parking restriction here without us even asking.
Commissioner Collier Clemens?
The persons that came up to you while you were doing the field inspection,
Yes.
were they the same ones that received letters?
No, they were not.
Okay, and of those that received letters, you're saying that 2 were for the restrictions and 1 was against it?
Yes, that's correct. So the 2 that were for it were 5 Ulmer Avenue and 14 Loughbury Avenue. The one who was against was 12, but that was also because they're the ones parking on the street.
Okay, so they're the cause of the problem,
Correct.
as you all have investigated it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I know that is a narrow street, and any additional cars parked does make it difficult for those school buses to get by as long as they are. And so those that voted or said yes, put the restrictions there, and the neighbors that came out and agreed with it, I think they're absolutely right.
How many accidents did you say, Nathan, we had there?
There were 3 in the last 5 years, which
3.
doesn't seem like much, but this is a very local, slow speed residential street that's not even 1/10 of a mile long.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I believe, looking at my agenda, that's the last item. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned at 4:55 PM. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.